Chapter 13. Create a new mind for your new future. Week 4. Step 7. Creating and rehearsing. Week 4 will be a bit different from previous weeks. First, as you read and write for Step 7, you will receive knowledge about creating and instruction on the how-to process of using mental rehearsal. Then you'll read the guided mental rehearsal meditation to follow to familiarize you with this new process. Next, it's time to do what you have learned. Every day this week you will practice the Week 4 meditation, which includes steps 1 through 7. As you listen, you will apply the focused attention and repetition you have employed to create the new you and your new destiny. Before you begin the final series of steps, I want to point out that the preceding steps were all designed to help you break the habit of being yourself, so that you could make room both consciously and energetically for reinventing a new self. Up until this point, you've worked at pruning away old synaptic connections. Now it's time to sprout new ones, so that the new mind you create will become the platform of who you will be in your future. Your previous efforts have facilitated unlearning some things about your old self. You've weeded out many aspects of the old you. You've become familiar with your unconscious states of mind that represent how you thought, behaved, and felt. Through the practice of metacognition, you've consciously observed the routine, habitual ways your brain fired within the box of your former personality. The skill of self-reflection has allowed you to separate your free-willed consciousness from the automatic programs that cause your brain to fire in the exact same sequences, patterns, and combinations. You've examined how your brain has probably been working for years now. And since the working definition of mind is the brain in action, you've objectively looked at your limited mind. Now that you are beginning to lose your mind, it's time to create a new one. Let's begin to plant a new you. Your daily meditations, contemplations, and rehearsals will be like tending to a garden to yield a greater expression of you. Learning new information and reading about great people in history who represent your new ideal is like sowing the seeds. The more creative you are in reinventing a new identity, the more diverse the fruits you will experience in your future. Your firm intention and conscious attention will be like water and sunlight for your dreams in your garden. As you emotionally rejoice in your new future before it is made manifest, you cast a safety net and fence protecting your vulnerable potential destiny from pests and difficult climatic conditions, because your elevated energy shields your creation. And by falling in love with the vision of who you are becoming, you are nurturing the potential plants and fruits with a miracle fertilizer. Love is a higher frequency emotion than those survival emotions that allowed the weeds and pests to come in the first place. To eliminate the old and make way for the new is the process of transformation. Next, it's time to practice creating a new mind over and over again until it becomes familiar to you. As you know, the more you fire circuits together, the more you wire them into lasting relationships. And if you fire a series of thoughts related to a particular stream of consciousness, it will be easier to produce that same level of mind the time after that. Therefore, as you repeat the same frame of mind every day by mentally rehearsing a new ideal of self, over time it will become more routine, more familiar, more natural, more automatic, and more subconscious. You will begin to remember you as someone else. In the previous steps, you also unmemorized an emotion that was stored in your body-mind. Now it's time to recondition your body to a new mind, and signal your genes in new ways. Your goal in this final step is to master a new mind in the brain as well as the body. Thus it becomes so familiar to you that you are able to reproduce that same level of being at will and make it look natural and easy. It's important that you memorize this new state of mind by thinking in new ways. Equally relevant is to then memorize a new feeling in the body so that nothing in your outer world can move you from it. This is when you are ready to create a new future and then live in it. When you rehearse, you bring the new you out of nothing repeatedly and consistently, so that you know how to call it up at will. In this step, you'll start by asking yourself some open-ended questions. As you pose questions that cause you to speculate, to think in different ways than you typically think, and to entertain new possibilities, this turns on your frontal lobe. This entire contemplation process is the building method for making a new mind. You are creating the platform of the new self by forcing the brain to fire in novel ways. You're beginning to change your mind. Opportunity to write. Please take time to write down your answers to the following questions. Then review them, reflect on them, analyze them, and think about all of the possibilities your answers raise. Questions to turn on your frontal lobe. What is the greatest ideal of myself? What would it be like to be ... Who in history do I admire and how did they act? Who in my life do I know who feels ... What would it take to think like ... Whom do I want to model? How would I be if I were ... What would I say to myself if I were this person? How would I talk to others if I were changed? How and whom do I want to remind myself to be? Your personality consists of how you think, act, and feel. So I've grouped some questions to help you determine more specifically how you want your new self to conduct itself. Remember, when you come up with your own answers, then contemplate them, you are installing new hardware in your brain and signaling your genes to activate in new ways in your body. Feel free to continue to list your answers in your journal if you don't think you can mentally keep track of them. How do I want to think? How would this new person, my ideal, think? What thoughts do I want to put my energy behind? What is my new attitude? What do I want to believe about me? How do I want to be perceived? What would I say to myself if I were this person? How do I want to act? How would this person act? What would he or she do? How do I see myself behaving? How would I speak as this new expression of self? How do I want to feel? How would this new self be? What would I feel? What would my energy be like as this new ideal? When you meditate to create the new you, your job is to reproduce the same level of mind every day, to think and feel differently than you usually do. You should be able to repeat that same frame of mind at will and make it commonplace. Furthermore, you have to allow your body to feel that new feeling until you actually are that new person. In other words, you cannot get up as the same person who sat down. Transformation must occur in the here and now, and your energy should be different from when you started. If you get up as the same person, feeling just as you did when you started, nothing has really happened. You are still the same identity. Therefore, if you say to yourself, "I didn't feel like it today. I'm too tired. I have too much to do. I'm busy. I have a headache. I'm too much like my mother. I can't change. I want to get something to eat. I can start tomorrow. This doesn't feel good. I should turn on the TV and watch the news, and so on. And if you allow those sub-vocalizations to take the stage of the frontal lobe, you will invariably get up as the same personality. You must use your will, intention, and sincerity to go beyond these urges of the body. You must recognize this banter and chatter as a fight by the old self for control. You must allow it to rebel, but then bring it back to the present moment, relax it, and then start over again. And over time, it will begin to trust you to be the master again. Now that you've contemplated your answers, it's time to rehearse them. Review how you will think, act, and feel as your new ideal. Let's be clear here. I don't want you to become too mechanistic or rigid. This is a creative process. Allow yourself to be imaginative, free, and spontaneous. Don't force your answers to be one way or another. Don't try to go through your list in the same exact way during each meditative session. There are many different means to arrive at your end. Just think about the greatest expression of yourself, and then remind yourself how you will act. What will you say? How will you walk? How will you breathe? And how will you feel if you become that person? What will you say to others and to yourself? Your goal is to move into a state of being and become this ideal. For instance, think back to those piano players who mentally rehearsed piano exercises without touching any keys, and how they achieved almost the same brain changes as people who physically played the same scales and chords for the same length of time. The mental players' daily rehearsal changed their brains to look like they had already had the experience of physically executing the activity. Their thoughts became their experience. If you recall the finger exercise experiment involving mental rehearsal, there were also significant physical changes demonstrated in the body without the subjects ever lifting a finger. In this step, your daily rehearsals will change your brain and your body to be ahead of time. That's why it's so important to rehearse, to bring up again how you will act as your new self. This is how you biologically change the brain and body to no longer live in the past, but rather to chart a map to the future. If the body and brain are changed, then there is physical evidence that you are changed. This part of Step 7 is about making the leap to get to the unconsciously skilled level of expertise. When you are unconsciously skilled at something, that means you just do it without having to place a great deal of conscious thought or attention on the activity. It's like going from a novice driver to an experienced one. It's like being able to knit without having to consciously will each of the actions into motion. It's like the old Nike ad slogan, "You are just doing it." If you are getting bored around this point in the exercise, take that as a good sign. It means that your new mode of operation is beginning to become familiar, common, and automatic. You have to get to this juncture in order to hardwire and embody this information into long-term memory. You must make an effort to go beyond your boredom, because each time you engage in your new ideal, you manage to be more of the new you with less effort. You engrave your new model of you into a memory system that then becomes more subconscious and natural. If you keep practicing it, you won't have to think about being it. You will have become it. Bottom line, practice makes perfect. You are training yourself in this process like any sport. If you're doing rehearsal correctly, then each time you practice, it should be easier for you to accomplish. Why? Because you're primed. You already have those circuits firing in tandem in your brain, and it's already warmed up. You also manufactured the right chemistry, and it's circulating in your body, selecting a new genetic expression. Your body is naturally in the right state. In addition, you have restrained and quieted down other brain regions connected to the old you. Consequently, the feelings that were associated with the old you are less likely to stimulate your body in the same inherent ways. Bear in mind that most of the mental rehearsal exercises that activate and grow new circuits in the brain involve learning knowledge, getting instruction, paying attention, and repeating the skill over and over. As you know, learning is making new connections. Instruction is teaching the body how to, in order to create a new experience. Paying attention to what you are doing is absolutely necessary to rewire your brain, because it involves you being present to the stimuli, both physical and mental. And last, repetition fires and wires long-term relationships between nerve cells. These are all the ingredients that it takes to grow new circuits and make a new mind. And this is exactly what you're doing in your meditations. Repetition is what I want to emphasize here. Kathy's story illustrates every facet of mental rehearsal. A massive stroke had damaged the language center in her brain's left hemisphere, leaving her unable to talk for months. Doctors told Kathy, a corporate trainer, that she would probably never speak again. Having read my book and completed one of my workshops, Kathy refused to accept this devastating prognosis. Instead, based on knowledge she had learned and instruction she received, and applying focused attention and repetition, Kathy mentally rehearsed speaking in front of groups of people. Every day, she practiced this in her mind. Over a period of several months, she demonstrated physical changes in her brain and body, to the extent that she repaired the language center in her brain, and completely regained her ability to speak. Today, Kathy once again addresses audiences fluently and flawlessly, with no hesitation. In your own study of this material, you made some important synaptic connections as the precursor for you to have new experiences. Both of these elements, studying information and having experiences, evolve your brain. You are also being given the proper instruction in the unlearning and relearning process of change. You understand the importance of focus in attending to both mental and physical activity, to mold your brain and change your body to reflect your efforts. And finally, it is your repeated efforts to rehearse your new ideal that will produce the same level of mind and body over and over again. Repetition will seal long-lasting circuits and activate new genes for you to revisit the next day with greater ease. This step is for you to practice reproducing the same state of being so it gets simpler. The keys for you to focus on are frequency, intensity, and duration. That is, the more you do it, the easier it gets. The better your focus and concentration are, the easier it is for you to tap into that particular mind the next time. The longer you can linger in the thoughts and emotions of your new ideal, without letting your mind wander to extraneous stimuli, the more you will memorize this new state of being. This step is all about getting into becoming your new ideal in your waking day. Your goal in this step is to become a new personality, a new state of being. So if you are a new personality, you are being somebody else, right? Your old personality, based on how you thought, felt, and acted, has created the reality that you presently are experiencing. In short, how you are as a personality is how you are in your personal reality. Remember also that your personal reality is made up of how you think, feel, and act. By doing each of those in a new way, you are creating both a new self and a new reality. Your new personality should produce a new reality. In other words, when you are being someone else, you naturally will have a different life. If you suddenly changed your identity, you would be another person, and therefore you would certainly live as someone else. If the personality called John became the personality known as Steve, we could say that John's life will change because he is no longer being John, but is now thinking, acting, and feeling like Steve. Here is another example. One time while I was lecturing in California, a woman approached me in front of the audience with her hands on her hips, intensely focused, angrily exclaiming, "How come I'm not living in Santa Fe?" I calmly replied, "Because the person who was just talking to me is the personality who is living in Los Angeles. The personality who would be living and is already in Santa Fe looks nothing like that." Thus, from a quantum perspective, this new personality is the perfect place to create from. The new identity is no longer emotionally anchored to known situations in your life that keep recycling the same circumstances. Therefore, it is the perfect place from which to envision a new destiny. This is the place you want to be to call out a new life. The reason why your prayers were hardly ever answered in the past is that you are trying to hold a mindful intention while being lost in lower emotions such as guilt, shame, sadness, unworthiness, anger, or fear connected to the old self. It was those feelings that were governing your thoughts and attitudes. The 5% of your mind that is conscious was fighting against the 95% that is the subconscious body-mind. Thinking one way and feeling another cannot produce anything tangible. Energetically, that broadcasts a mixed signal to the invisible web that orchestrates reality. Thus, if you are being guilty because your body memorized the mind of guilt, then you probably received what you were being. Situations in your life that evoked more reasons to feel guilty. Your conscious aim could not stand up to your being that memorized emotion. As this new identity, however, you are thinking and feeling differently than the old identity. You are in a state of mind and body that is now sending a perfect signal, free from your past memories. For the first time, the lens of your mind is now lifted above the present landscape to see a new horizon. You are looking to the future, not your past. Simply said, you can't create a new personal reality while you are still being the old personality. You have to become someone else. Once you are in a new state of being, now is the time to create a new destiny. This part of the step is where you, as the new state of being, this new personality, create a new reality. The energy that you released from the body earlier is now the raw ingredient to create a new future with. So what do you want? Do you want healing in some area of your body or your life? Do you want a loving relationship, a more satisfying career, a new car, a paid-up mortgage? Do you want the solution to overcoming an obstacle in your life? Is your dream to write a book, to send your kids to college or go back to school yourself, to climb a mountain, to learn to fly, to be free from an addiction? In all of these examples, your brain automatically creates an image of what you want. From an elevated state of mind and body, in love, joy, self-empowerment and gratitude, in a greater, more coherent energy, Here is where you see those images in your mind of what you want to create in your new life as this new personality. Craft the specific future events you want to experience by observing them into physical reality. Let yourself go and begin to free associate without analysis. The pictures you see in your mind are the vibrational blueprints of your new destiny. You, as the quantum observer, are commanding matter to conform to your intentions. With clarity, you will hold the image of each manifestation in your mind for a few seconds, and then let it go into the quantum to be executed by a greater mind. Just like the observer in quantum physics, who looks for an electron and it collapses from a wave of probabilities into an event called a particle, the physical manifestation of matter, you are doing the same on a much larger scale. But you are using your free energy to collapse waves of probability into an event called a new experience in your life. Your energy is now entangled with that future reality, and it belongs to you. Finally, give up trying to figure out how, or when, or where, or with whom. Leave those details to a mind that knows so much more than you do. And know that your creation will come in a way that you least expect, that will surprise you and leave no doubt that it came from a higher order. Trust that the events in your life will be tailored to your conscious intentions. Now you are developing a two-way communication with this invisible consciousness. It shows you that it noticed you emulating it as a creator. It speaks to you directly. It demonstrates that it is responding to you. How does it do all this? It creates and organizes unusual events in your life. These signify direct messages from the quantum mind. Now you have a relationship with a supreme, loving consciousness. It's time to reinvent a new you by moving into a new state of being that reflects your new expression of self. After you do so, by priming a new mind and body, then you rehearse that state of being again. Your efforts to recreate the same familiar state will biologically change your brain and body ahead of the new experience. Then once you are a new being in your meditation, a new being is a new personality, and a new personality creates a new personal reality. Here is where you, from an elevated energy, create the specific events in your life as the quantum observer of destiny. Although this guided mental rehearsal meditation has 3 parts, when it is incorporated into your week 4 meditation, as the guided meditation in Appendix C, the parts blend seamlessly together. Guided mental rehearsal meditation. Creating the new you. Now close your eyes. Eliminate the environment and let yourself go by creating how you want to live your life. Your job is to move into a new state of being. It's time to change your mind and think in new ways. When you do, you will emotionally recondition your body to a new mind by signaling new genes in new ways. Let the thought become the experience, and live that future reality now. Open your heart and give thanks ahead of the actual experience, so much so that you convince your body to believe that future event is unfolding now. Pick a potential in the quantum field and live it completely. It is time to change your energy from living in the emotions of the past to living in the emotions of a new future. You cannot get up as the same person you were when you sat down. Remind yourself who you will be when you open your eyes. Plan your actions with regard to how you will be in your new reality. Imagine the new you and how you will speak and what you will say to yourself. Think about what it will feel like to be this ideal. Conceive of yourself as a new person, doing certain things, thinking certain ways, and feeling the emotions of joy, inspiration, love, empowerment, gratitude, and power. Become so attentive to your intention that your thoughts of a new ideal become the experience internally. And as you feel the emotion from that experience, you go from thinking to being. Remember who and what you really are in your new future. Now relax for a few seconds. Then review, recreate, and rehearse what you just did. Do it over again. Let go and see if you can do it repeatedly and consistently. Can you initiate being that new ideal with greater ease than the last time? Can you bring it out of nothing one more time? You should naturally be able to recall who you are becoming so that you know how to call it up at will. Your repeated efforts will mean doing it so many times that you'll just know how to. When you move into this new state of being, memorize the feeling. This is a great place to be. Now it's time to command matter. From this elevated state of mind and body, what do you want in your future life? As you unfold the new self, remember to move into that state of mind and body that feels invincible, powerful, absolute, inspired, and overjoyed. Let the pictures come. See them with certainty, with a knowingness that unifies you to those events or things. Bond with your future as if it is yours, without any concern other than expectancy and celebration. Let yourself go and begin to free associate without concern. Become empowered by your new sense of self. With clarity, hold the image of each manifestation in your mind for a few seconds, and then let it go into the quantum to be executed by a greater mind. Then go to the next one. Keep going. This is your new destiny. Allow yourself to experience that future reality in the present moment until you convince your body to emotionally believe that the event is coming to pass now. Open your heart and experience the joy of your new life before it actually manifests. Know that where you place your attention is where you place your energy. The energy that you released from the body earlier has become the raw materials for you to use to create a new future. In a state of divinity, true greatness, and gratitude, create by blessing your life with your own energy, and be the quantum observer of your future. Become entangled to your new reality. As you see the images of what you want to experience in the energy of this new personality, know that those pictures will become the blueprints of your destiny. You are commanding matter to conform to your intentions. When you finish, simply let go and know that your future will unfold in a way that is perfect for you. Week 4 Guide to Meditation. Now that you have read the text and journaled for Step 7, you are ready to practice your Week 4 meditations. Every day, listen to, or do from memory, the full Week 4 meditation. A helpful hint. During the guided meditation, you may find yourself feeling so good that you naturally make statements like these to yourself or out loud. I am wealthy. I am healthy. I am a genius. Because you feel like that in a very real way. That's great. It means mind and body are aligned. It's important for you not to analyze what you are dreaming. If you do, you will leave the fertile ground of the alpha wave patterns and return back to beta wave patterns and separate yourself from your subconscious mind. Just create a new you without any judgment. Guide to continuing your meditation. You've just devoted the past several weeks to learning a meditation practice that can become a lifelong means to help you evolve and create the life you choose. You also use that new skill to start pruning away a particular aspect of the old you, and to begin creating a new self and a new destiny. At this point, many people ask questions such as these. How can I continue to get better at the steps and skills of meditating? Once I have mastered this process, should I keep doing it the same way indefinitely? How long should I keep working on the same aspect of self that I've focused on up till now? How will I know when I'm ready to peel away another layer of the onion? As I keep using this process, how can I decide which part of my old self to change next? Can I use this process to work on more than one aspect of my personality at a time? If you continue to do all of the steps every day, what used to feel like 7 steps will begin to feel simpler, with more of a flow from step to step. Like anything you have mastered in your life, you will only get better if you continue to meditate daily. As for the guided meditation and induction techniques, you might think of them like training wheels on a bicycle. If using them helped you while you were learning this process, continue to listen to them for as long as they assist you to move ahead. But once you're so familiar with the process that you've made it your own, and you feel that listening to guided instructions is holding you back, then let them go. Making periodic adjustments to your meditations is natural and to be expected, because you aren't the same person you were when you began. If you keep up the daily sessions, your state of being will continue to evolve, and thus you will continue to recognize aspects of your old self that you want to change. Only you can determine when and how quickly you are ready to move ahead. And as I'll talk about in the next chapter, your progress will depend not just on your meditations, but on making change an integral part of your daily life. But in general, working on one particular aspect of yourself in your sessions for 4 to 6 weeks will likely bring enough results that you feel an inner prompting to begin removing another layer of self. So approximately every month, do some self-reflection. Look to your life for feedback on what you're creating and how you're doing. You might revisit the questions in part 3 and notice any that you would now answer differently. Reevaluate how you're feeling, who you've been being in your life, and whether you still have the attitude you were working on. If that attitude feels like it has diminished, have you noticed other unwanted emotions, states of mind, or habits that feel more prominent now? If so, one approach might be to focus on that aspect of your personality and redo the entire process you just completed. Alternatively, you may want to keep working on one area while adding another. Once you've mastered the basic template for how to meditate, you can combine the emotions you're working on in a more unified way, addressing several aspects of yourself at the same time. After a lot of practice, I now work on my whole self at once, taking what I think of as a holistic, non-linear approach. Of course, elements of the new destiny you want to create will surely change as well. When that new relationship or career change comes into your life, you won't want to stop there. And every so often you may also opt to vary your meditation just to shake things up a bit. Trust your instincts. If you haven't already done so, I invite you to visit my website at www.drjoedispenza.com. Whenever you feel the need for new inspiration, here you will find an array of practical tools and techniques to reprogram your thoughts and remove self-destructive habits to empower you to change from the inside out. Your next steps might be to read my first book and the companion to this one, Evolve Your Brain, The Science of Changing Your Mind, to deepen the knowledge that, as you now know, is the precursor to experience. This book will walk you through the structure of your brain, teach you how your thoughts and emotions become hardwired, and give you the understanding to not only change your life, but to change you into the person you've always wanted to be. Attend 1, 2, or all 3 of the workshops I personally conduct around the world on breaking the habit of being yourself. Participate in a series of live teleclasses, including Q&A sessions. Broaden the foundation of your knowledge through the DVDs and audio CDs described on my website.